Welcome back. I am Uppbeat, and this is OP Gaming. Today I'm taking a look at Amnesia: Dark Descent, the 2010 horror puzzle game from Swedish developers Frictional Games. They also made the classic Penumbra, as well as Soma, and more recently, Amnesia Rebirth. So a combination of moving across the country and, well, other games coming out, I completely overlooked this. And it's really a shame too, because this game, or games like this, are my typical go-to. The main character's name is Daniel. He wakes up inside Brandenburg Castle with the intention of figuring out who he is and how he got there. It doesn't take long to find out something called the Shadow is following Daniel, and that this entire experience is a fight with his sanity. Most of the story takes place in the form of diary entries that are scattered everywhere, and picking up the notes triggers voiceovers of conversation between characters. Other times you just have to read. So Daniel's sanity will falter if he remains in the darkness for too long, so to combat it, he needs to find oil for his lantern and tinder boxes to light torches and candles on his journey. The effect of him losing his wits starts with the scenery slowly moving out of focus, as if the motion blur is set to over 9,000, and eventually leads to altering the scenery completely, making any attempt at playing almost impossible until you find some light. There aren't any weapons to use, inventory is spacious, controls are tight, both keyboard, mouse, and controller. Throughout your time here, you can encounter things that you can pick up, break, move, throw. Most of the puzzles are of medium difficulty. Looking around will always provide you with the answer, typically because they're tied to physics. Wedged door? Try the bent bar from down the hall. No door? Look for a hole in the wall. Walls seem fine? Try opening the hatch above the table. There's definitely something to be said about the dopamine that comes from solving a puzzle. It's like trying to remember the last movie you saw that familiar face in, or the name of the band that sings the song that somehow got stuck in your head. Well, the other thing worth mentioning is the gore. And I'm not talking about the occasional red coloring on the floor or the random body lying around lifeless. I mean the straight out of Hellraiser references and imagery. And I don't want to spoil too much, but I'll just say it's brutal. And something that I never imagined, having played the first half of this game a few times, that eventually I'd stumble upon the story and see how far down the rabbit hole goes. It's not quite as intense as Doki Doki Literature Club, but it's close. Overall, I'd give this game an 8.5 out of 10. I finished the game around 7 hours. A couple long, dark nights was enough to finish the experience, and honestly, I wanted more. If I had one gripe, personally, I kinda wish the storytelling, the diaries and notes, were a little more interactive, or at least animated, and not just audio. But that's just me. Regardless, I would recommend this to anyone that hasn't played it, especially for people who like horror and puzzles. Down below are all the links: game page, dev page, music. My resolution this year was to actually play through my backlog. There are so many games that I don't even know how they ended up in my library. So, I'm picking one game per letter of the alphabet and going through them. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments. And as always, I am Uppbeat. Thanks for stopping by.